one of the things we have to correct in America is people should not have to feel bad about living in any part of the country where their politics isn't the majority. And that works both ways.
I agree.
Like, you didn't feel comfortable there, and that's wrong. And look, I never stop ragging on the liberals and woke people, not liberals. I'm a liberal. These people are different. For just being snobs. This is the I won't eat with you at Thanksgiving people. This is the no contact thing. But, you know, lots of liberals wouldn't be comfortable at a NASCAR rally either. I mean, there are places where but I will say, and this is something I'm going to say Friday night, the liberals are worse about this. I will admit it, and we have to look in the mirror on that one. We are just worse at the snobby.
If there's one part of American politics that never stops surprising me, it's how easily we forget that this country grew from the wild idea that people with clashing opinions could still live alongside one another without tearing the place apart. Somewhere along the way, we swapped let's agree to disagree for agree with me or step out of my world entirely. And every November, that crack shows itself in a way that's both strangely funny and a little heartbreaking. I once watched a political chat burst to life like a spark-filled sky. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for what happened next. But before we set things in motion, go ahead and tap the like and subscribe buttons, because conversations with this level of honesty feel more necessary than ever, especially with how things look right now. This time, though, something unexpected happened. Nothing exploded. No arguments, no shouting, just a clear lesson. Ma opened with a remark that should be obvious to anyone breathing the same air in 2024. No American should feel out of place in their own country simply because their political views don't match the local crowd. And he's absolutely right. Think about how strange our situation has become. We've reached a moment where grown adults, people with jobs, houses, cars, and perfectly functioning brains can't even share Thanksgiving leftovers with relatives who vote differently. Is that really where we've landed? Ma didn't hesitate to point a finger at his own team. He admitted that liberals, especially the super alert corner of the group, have sharpened this habit into an art, a sort of moral grandstanding. You know the type. I can't sit next to Uncle Frank because he watches that news channel, or I won't join the family table because the MAGA cousins are too much. Ma called it out plainly. He claimed liberals excel at this social freeze-out more than anyone else. And honestly, it's refreshing when someone on that side says, yeah, this part's ours. More honesty like that would be welcome. But Ma wasn't done. He brought someone with him to push the idea even further. They don't share political views. Her father-in-law appears in the news often. And yet, with a stack of jokes thick enough to qualify as a small novel, Ma sat across from a political opposite, looked them in the eye, and had a genuine conversation. Picture that for a second. Imagine in America where two people who strongly disagree can still sit together and really talk about their ideas. That used to be ordinary. Now it feels almost daring. And the fact that people saw it as thrilling shows exactly how far we've drifted.
At this time of year for this show, there's like, I've done the same topic, I feel like, every year because I have to, because there's only one topic that's sort of appropriate, which is it's Thanksgiving. Be with your family. Don't cut off your family.
Agreed.
I know you do.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Even when there's a lot of things we don't agree on, and there's certainly a lot of things your father-in-law does that I don't like, and he has let me know.
I'm sure he has.
Oh, yes. But, you know, but here's the difference. I'll tell you the difference. Mm-hmm. When I went there, I brought that is a page of 56 different, just the mind of a man who could come up with those many off the top of his head. I know, this is, of course, over many years.
Of course.
But still, it's just like, I couldn't come up with that many variations if I tried.
Very creative.
Next up comes Thanksgiving. Maher says he's had to talk about this holiday every single year because there's only one message that still works. Don't push your family away over politics. And honestly, he's right again. Thanksgiving once meant slightly overcooked turkey, clumsy chatter, and an uncle sharing tales no one asked for. Now we're checking our relatives' Instagram stories ahead of time, deciding whether their posts make them cranberry sauce compatible. We've turned our identities into a kind of comedy sketch. You can tell political fixation has taken over when total strangers on Twitter start studying a man's knuckle curve as if it's some top secret film slide. A few voices on the left wondered about a vein or a swollen joint for days, treating it like the opening chapter of a national scandal. Ma wanted nothing to do with the show, and he deserves credit. He said what most people quietly understand: people grow older. Hands can look unusual sometimes. If you're 70 and your hand occasionally doesn't resemble a crinkled road grid, count yourself lucky. Mocking someone's physical state is low, even if the target were a digital projection. Ma's point was simple: this could be my hand tomorrow. And once again, he's right. Age has nothing to do with which political party you support, but the left pounced on this non-story because they're eager to make every tiny detail appear like a grand revelation.
They were giving all these jokes about something was going on with his hand. And I said,
the hand.
Save yourself. I'm 70. That could be my hand tomorrow.
It's true.
So
Absolutely.
I'm not making fun of physical deformities and that stuff.
Good for you.
It was fun for a minute, and but like, yeah, I don't need it. And if we can do that on a bigger basis where people are talking and giving, somebody has to give a little somewhere.
Exactly.
The obsession is embarrassing for both sides, but only the extreme left treats their teasing as if it's some bold stand against the universe. Then came the moment when left-wing Twitter practically melted like butter on a hot griddle. During political debates, Ma openly says conservatives tend to be more athletic. They couldn't stand it. They absolutely hated it. Praising conservatives inside the far-left echo chamber, that's treated like betrayal, practically forbidden. Politically, it's the equivalent of choosing the wrong team at a family gathering, but Ma wasn't off base. His show has hosted plenty of conservatives: Matt Gaetz, Ted Cruz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Charlie Kirk before Kirk turned against him. And how does Ma describe what happens? They show up, they talk, they argue, they handle tough questions, and when they leave, they usually say they enjoyed the experience. They don't melt like crayons under a summer sun when someone challenges them. Compare that to certain hypersensitive liberals online who treat disagreement as an attack, suggest that free speech isn't harmful by default, and they'll block you before launching into a marathon thread about emotional boundaries and call you a fascist along the way.
And I always give the conservatives their props on that.
Yeah.
I say it almost every time a conservative is on the show or comes here.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm willing to sit down and talk to anybody.
Ask any conservative. Unfortunately, we can't ask Charlie Kirk, who was here.
That's right.
Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene was on real time, either here or on the show. Ask any of them. They will always, Ted Cruz, they will always say, we had a good time.
Yeah.
We had a good time. Now there are people who I wouldn't have here, like that little prick Nick Fuentes.
That is an unfortunate.
Liberals, Maher said, tend to carry a certain political snobbiness. And honestly, that isn't off target. The left created cancel culture and then later insisted it never existed. Meanwhile, conservatives show up ready for a showdown. Ma describes them as spirited fighters, which makes them far more engaging guests. But what really set the far left off was Ma's refusal to use the label they demanded. It's become the new rule: if you don't repeat their chosen word, you're part of the problem. Maher wouldn't play along. He called the comparison irresponsible, lazy, and completely disconnected from history.
Trump is not Hitler.
No.
I mean, Larry David said I had dinner with Hitler because it was such a bullshit thing.
Yeah.
Trump is not Hitler. This Fuentes kid, that's Hitler.
No, there's nothing I will say that I've heard come out of his mouth that I think I agree with, or many people who consider themselves MAGA. And quite frankly, the fact that he's got a Trump flag up behind him shouldn't say that, we agree with him. That's unfortunate. We need to get you a new lighter.
You know what?
What happened around here? We got anybody with a lighter?
And he was right about that too. Tossing Hitler's name around turns a piece of history into a cheap costume and warps the truth along the way. Here's the surprising part. Nothing dramatic happened afterward. No thunder, no sudden darkness. The man simply finished his meal like any ordinary person. But for certain far-left activists, acknowledging something so obvious is enough to get you pushed out of their circle. If that wasn't already shaking their hive, Ma jumped straight into COVID. Their treasured rulebook evaporated in an instant. He criticized vaccine mandates, social pressure, job losses, public shaming, and the smug attitude that lingered throughout the pandemic. He voiced what millions of Americans had felt. People were overwhelmed by how often the guidance changed. Masks worked one day and supposedly didn't the next. The vaccine was said to stop transmission until it didn't. His frustration made sense. It was honest. But saying any of that 2 years ago would have earned you the title of patient zero for the next outbreak.
That I should have the right to choose. I shouldn't, the coercion that went on during COVID, I was
Terrible.
not down with that.
Terrible.
Okay, so you can see why the left
Yeah.
is very skeptical of me on that issue. I'm still not where RFK is. And where is he? I don't know, because he'll say one thing and then I'm like, look, I'm reading it out of your book, like, I said to him, you said, all vaccines, you're against all vaccines. He said, that's what you think? I said, well, yeah, you wrote it. You know what I mean? But he,
But he can have his opinion, and then there's public policy as well. And I think that for so many people who, look at the people who lost their jobs because they didn't get
Horrible.
the COVID vaccine, all the problems it caused.
Maher also criticized the left for refusing to acknowledge that scientific understanding had shifted and for ignoring Dr. Fauci's mixed messages. Think about how much science evolves. Of course, it changes. Who could possibly be shocked by that? Then Ma pointed out something that shines a bright light on political double standards. Eric Swalwell and Letitia James are facing questions about their mortgage situations. He didn't declare them guilty. He didn't claim to have uncovered some grand plot. He simply said that if the left plans to pore over everyone else's documents, they should be willing to live by those same expectations, the same standards for everyone. Imagine that.
I don't even like this guy, Congressman Eric Swalwell. Had him on the show. I thought, wow, this guy is just way too hungry. Thirsty, I think the kids call
thirsty.
it.
The kids do say thirsty.
He's thirsty
Yeah.
and just too left for me, like California. And so did I cry crocodile tears? No, but he and Letitia James, I think in New York. I mean, we're talking about checking the wrong box on if you're going to do that, let's go through everybody's mortgage, because I think you'll find some people on your side who might have done that.
I can promise you.
And Kamala Harris from reaching the presidency, saying America wasn't ready for a female leader. Ma pushed back immediately. He called the claim clumsy, unscientific, and uninformed. Hillary didn't lose because she's a woman, and Kamala didn't struggle because of sexism. They lost because voters disagreed with their plans, didn't feel they could trust them, or simply couldn't connect with them. Shrinking everything down to gender doesn't uplift anyone. It's a shortcut that avoids real thinking.
Or you saw what Michelle Obama said this week?
Yeah. I don't totally agree with that. I think America's ready for a
completely disagree with
president.
it.
Yeah.
If people don't know, and we're going to talk about it on my show Friday, I think. She said, don't even ask me to run for president because we're not ready for it. And we prove that, and the country needs to grow up. And that is not my take on this. My take on this is, first of all, it's not a scientific fact that the two women who the Democrats ran lost because they're women, which is exactly what the premise of your comment is. We ran women and they didn't win. Well, first of all, Hillary did win.
Ma was right once more when he highlighted this. As the discussion circled back to the idea of comfort and community in politics, Maher repeated a message we truly need to hear. It shouldn't be a challenge for someone to live in a place where most people don't share their political views. That should be basic. A Republican ought to feel at ease in Manhattan. A Democrat should feel perfectly fine in Alabama. Being American isn't supposed to come with territorial limits. But Ma clarified something important. One side has taken this much further. Liberals have turned gatekeeping into a polished skill. They've created an environment where disagreeing is treated like a moral failure. He described conservatives, especially the classic old school kind, as happy warriors. They argue fiercely, then laugh it off. They take the hits, but they don't instantly insist on emotional reparations.
One of the things we have to correct in America is people should not have to feel bad about living in any part of the country where their politics isn't the majority. And that works both ways.
I
together.
agree.
You didn't feel comfortable there, and that's wrong. And look, I never stop ragging on the liberals and woke people, not liberals. I'm a liberal. These people are different. For just being snobs. This is the I won't eat with you at Thanksgiving people. This is the no contact thing. But, lots of liberals wouldn't be comfortable at a NASCAR rally either. There are places where but I will say, and this is something I'm going to say Friday night, the liberals are worse about this. I will admit it, and we have to look in the mirror on that one. We are just worse at the snobby.
Ma raised an important point. It isn't that he sides with conservatives, that more of them appear on his show. It's that they're willing to show up. They're ready to step into tough conversations. They're willing to sit in discomfort. Meanwhile, many liberals retreat into carefully sealed spaces where nothing challenges them. They feel confident only when surrounded by total agreement, not when facing real debate. Ma doesn't find conservatives interesting because he's changing teams. He finds them interesting because they actually explore challenging ideas, especially the ones that push back. That's what earns his respect. It's not about ideology, it's about courage. The ability to face uncomfortable questions, defend your beliefs, and sit across from someone you disagree with without losing your cool. That's intellectual bravery. Conservatives tend to bring that energy. Liberals, more and more, do not. And in modern American politics, that's both the promise and the heartbreak. Our problem isn't that we disagree. Our problem is that we've forgotten how to disagree without trying to harm each other. Remembering that skill might be the first real step toward repairing the cultural damage we're living through now.
I don't know any conservatives who don't at least talk.
Right.
You know? Now, maybe that's because you won. Maybe that's because it's easy.
There was a time where we didn't.
And you still came. It's true.
Yes, there was a time we didn't.
They're happy warriors. I remember that term when I was a kid. Like, that was somebody who was like, and that's what Republicans usually are. They're happy warriors. They come there. And you see, I don't pull my punches. They take their shots like a man.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you ever see Dean Phillips talk about going to a Trump?
If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more in-depth analysis, go ahead and like this video, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree with Ma? Is the left's snobbery over the top? Are conservatives really the happy warriors he describes? I'd love to hear what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.